Hi there, and welcome to PeopleGoal's webcast, where we discuss the latest HR topics to help you thrive. My name is Maddie. I'm an HR growth analyst at PeopleGoal. I'm really excited to be talking through today's topic with Chrissa, who is also joining us today on the webcast.
Hi, Maddie. I'm HRIS, I'm head of HR growth at PeopleGoal, and very excited as well to walk through this webcast with you.
Great stuff. So just before we get into the main topic of today, we just wanted to draw your attention to some of our previous webcasts that we have released over the last few months, which may be of interest. So just to run through those quickly, we have discussed with our customer success manager how to implement a new HR system. We have delved into how to enable a feedback culture, how to drive better employee engagement, and also check-ins done right, how to get the most out of check-ins. So you can watch all of these on YouTube if you search for PeopleGoal Webcasts. They're also on our website, and we will share the link with you at the end of this presentation. So let's get into our topic for today. So we are going to be discussing the HR tech stack. What tools should you be familiar with? Now, we'll get into what exactly an HR tech stack is, but just for anyone who is unfamiliar with this terminology, it's a collection of digital tools to do with your HR technology that you can use to manage your people. So the point of today is we're going to give you some of our recommendations for the kind of most cutting edge leading software in each different category, which is by no means an exhaustive list, but just from our experience, what we have found works well.
Yeah, a perfect topic, I think, and very relevant, especially given that almost everyone is still working remotely and mainly all the people processes are taking place on the cloud. So it would be great if we can see together how HR can manage the different processes now.
So today's webcast is going to look a little bit like this, and this is what we're going to be discussing today. So we'll start off with a kind of introduction into what is an HR tech stack and discuss kind of what constitutes the different technologies. We will then explain why it's important to have a strong HR tech stack, and what we mean by strong is an HR tech stack that works well, not just using disparate tools and softwares, and why it's important to consider them as a whole, as a stack. We will then discuss some of the practical implications and how you should decide which tools to use, what criteria you should look at, and what are the key things to keep in mind when you are bringing in new tools for your people. Then, the main body of today, we will discuss the different tools and give our recommendations based on our experience. And we will also discuss the integrations, which is a really key point of the HR tech stack, and how these tools work together. We will finish up with a summary and go through our key takeaways. So, what is an HR tech stack? We have slightly discussed this already, but an HR tech stack is a group of integrated digital tools that support the human resources business function. So for many years now, human resources has been shifting a lot more towards web-based processes, leaving a lot of those paper-based processes behind. But really, what the focus is now is, rather than just having disparate tools for different functions, is really consolidating a group of tools or software that integrate with one another and cover all of the human resources kind of administrative business functions. And what this will do is, once these tools handle those kind of more admin heavy manual tasks, this frees up HR professionals to focus on more strategic efforts, to focus on planning, creating better processes, looking after their people, and not having to spend the bulk of their time kind of going through paperwork and creating items for employees. So that is the idea with this integrated HR tech stack. So when you're building your stack, we'll get into this in a minute, but it really requires an analysis of company size, processes, and the HR technologies on the market. We should say at this point, there is no one-size-fits-all approach to building an HR tech stack, and it really is going to depend on many different attributes within your organization. So this is why we thought it would be very useful to go through this topic today, to kind of show you what you need to think about when you're building this stack. As between different organizations, there will be very different technology that they need, and there isn't one approach which will always work. So it's just important to keep in mind those three things. Now, finally, a very interesting report came out from the HR Research Institute, who did a large survey of many HR departments, and they found that an HR tech stack is among the top 10 priorities for most HR teams, but few are happy with their solutions. Now, in fact, only 1/4 said that their HR tech stack was actually above average. So this means that there's a lot of room for improvement in this area, especially in terms of integration and automation.
Perfect, Maddie. Just my opinion here, and a piece of advice. HR teams should not be intimidated by the large amount of HR tools and softwares out there. First, they need to identify the areas for improvement in terms of their HR processes, prioritize their needs, and having, let's say, a clear budget. And as you mentioned, apply, let's say, a strategic and thoughtful approach to the research, and then build the HR tech stack that will make better sense for the teams. And now I think we can move also to our next slide. So we can see together the benefits of a strong HR tech stack, and actually it will help increase HR department efficiency and productivity. And as I mentioned earlier, now that our work is mostly done remotely, and this is something that will prevail even in a hybrid model, we will still need to be able to support people processes regardless of the working space, whether at the office or remotely. And it will help the HR departments be better streamlined with their people, and of course that way they will be able to increase the employee productivity. At the same time, with the HR tech, you have access to a real-time data and powerful analytics. That's not the case for paper-based processes, where you need a tremendous amount of time to gather and compile a report. With HR tech, you can get real-time reporting and pivot very, very fast. In addition, it facilitates better employee communication and collaboration. It's the common place where managers and employees are coming together. They are working on the progress, about their goals, about any task-related items that they are working on together. We can also see the synergies between different teams and how people collaborate with each other. And finally, it improves the employee experience and, of course, engagement. Most likely, employees will feel proud using an HR tech. They will feel like their company is taking care after their needs, as well in terms of performance. They are being evaluated in a transparent way. At the same time, they have the opportunity to define, let's say, for example, their development plans and career growth in a very structured and engaging way.
Yeah, these are really great benefits, and I think it's important to see how they benefit each level and each layer of the organization, right down from encouraging employees to take more ownership over their roles and their work, to making managers' lives easier, to making HR departments' lives easier, and then even again at that top level, right up to the C-level executives and senior management, being able to have a more productive organization, having more visibility over the organization. So there's a lot of positives here kind of across the organization, and everyone stands to benefit.
Exactly, Maddie. So there is a great return on investment when it comes to HR tech. So key considerations when choosing your HR tech stack. The first thing that you need to consider is the company culture. Do the tools that I am using align with my organizational culture? So let's say, for example, we are a digital company, a company that fully embraces technology and would like to do anything and complete everything from a tool, directly from a tool. So if I have a decision to make, I would select, let's say, a tool that's very close to my company culture. I would also try to see if the tool that I am selecting is open to customization and can welcome my branding, let's say, my specific colors, my logo. So whether I can, let's say, white paper the platform in order to make the platform closer to my company and my culture. Every time an employee comes in, a newcomer or an existing employee will get the sense that is moving from one environment to another, but the experience remains the same. Second, integrations. Are your tools highly integrated? Every time you select a tool, you need to make sure that the tool is open and can easily talk with another tool, because you never know in the future what other needs will come up in terms of tools. So you need to select a platform that will be open to integrations and can fully integrate in the future with any other tools that you will be using, and of course with the existing tools that you are already using. Remote access. Does your stack work for your remote employees? So can everyone access the tool working remotely? This is very important. So you need to select more likely a tool that's on the cloud and can be easily accessed by the people that are not based in the office. And future needs. Will your solution suit your needs in 5 years' time? What do we mean by that? So let's say now we have a company and the headcount of the company is 30 people, and we only need to run one process, one specific process. Let's take the example of performance management. However, as the company grows, we need to make sure that the tool that we have selected will also support our needs of people processes in the future. So we will not be constrained and restricted.
Absolutely. These are the key 4 things to keep in mind. And I think it's important to note as well, Chrissa, that the 2 largest challenges cited by HR departments when it comes to choosing tools for their HR tech stack is integration. So that they say that their HR tech stack does not integrate well, which in the end just causes more work for HR, because once you're working with disparate systems that are unable to communicate, you're actually creating additional work, which is actually the opposite effect that we are trying to achieve by implementing an HR tech stack. And the other kind of key pain point is very few HR professionals say that their HR tech stack reinforces their company culture. And what often can be the feedback from employees is, like Chrissa was mentioning earlier, well, the opposite of what Chrissa was mentioning earlier, in fact, is that they are working with a company, they have one impression of the company, and then they go into another software and suddenly everything disappears, and it's very much different from their experience with the branding, with the processes. It feels different, and that's what we're trying to avoid by creating this this kind of strong tech stack is the word that we're using. And the idea is, or how we can avoid this, is with customization. So you want to find software, you want to find tools that can mold to fit your company culture, to fit your values, to fit your branding, to fit your unique processes, because as we all know, everyone's HR department is different, every company is very unique, and they want to do things their way. So you want to find tools that will really support that, rather than box you in their way of doing things.
Yes, very well, Mati. Exactly. As you mentioned, you don't want to feel restricted, and you need to make sure that the decision that you are taking now will also support you in the future. So how do you get the different tools to work together? And actually integrating your tech stack would be a key to the success of your initiatives. This is slightly a technical concept, let's say, that most likely the technical departments of your company will work on. But again, selecting the right tools should make it, even integrating with other softwares, easy. So we have built-in integrations that are already built into the platform. And these are the simplest integrations, because it's also very friendly for the user to complete an integration. We have the third-party platforms integrations that work like glue to hold your software stack together. Compared to the built-in integrations, these are integrations that will come up and they are not already working together. I mean, the two different providers, they are not working together, so we need to bring them together. And finally, the API, which is a software with a public application programming interface, which allows technical teams to connect with different platforms. A very well-known technology that bridges together different platforms. However, the tool that you will select needs to follow an API technology. So that's very important and something to watch out when selecting a tool.
Definitely. And, you know, as Krista was saying, this is the more technical element of software, which will be looked after by the technical team of your company or your provider's company. However, it's really important when you are making these decisions to know what these things mean, and especially to look for a software with an open API. So open API, in essence, as Krista was saying, just means that the software is able to connect with other softwares. So whilst you don't need to know the ins and outs, it's good to know that terminology and be aware to ask questions like that when you're kind of going through demos to find out how the software integrates. A very key point here. And as we've said on the slide, integrating your tech stack is the key to success. So this is an overview of the HR tech stack, the different components that we would suggest, and also the 5 tools we have chosen to talk about today. So the 5 elements or foundations of your tech stack that we believe to be the most important starting points would be 1, an HRIS, a human resource information system. The second layer is HRMS, a human resources management system, a task management system, identity management and single sign-on, and then a communication platform. So for each of those, we have suggested one provider based on our experience and based on the kind of things that you will need when you're kicking off your HR technology. However, of course, this is not an exhaustive list. There are other providers out there. And when you are looking for a new software, we recommend to take our advice, the key considerations we've discussed, and apply those to your search to find what works best for you, your culture, and your organization. And now what we're going to do is just take them one by one and go into a little bit more detail on what each of those platforms do and how they can help you. So number one is your HRIS. So an HRIS is essentially the integration of human resources and IT systems. And what it allows you to do is to keep a database of all of your employee information and data, allows you to track and report on your human resources, payroll and accounting information. So the key features of an HRIS would be, as I mentioned, a very comprehensive employee database where you can store everything from salary information, role title, name, emergency contact, historic information, performance information, everything that you might need. One of the most key parts of HR technology that no one will forget or should forget is payroll. So that is making sure all your employees are paid, as well as benefits. And now what an HRIS can also do, which is really useful, is if that's something that your organization does, is time and attendance tracking, absence management requests, as well as talent acquisition.
Perfect description, Maddie. So for our example here, we have ADB, which is a very well-known HRIS. And actually, with such a tool, the HR team is managing the primary information about the employee. So they have the data that they need in order to run other processes as well, in order to make sure they are compliant within the country they operate in. They can manage, as you mentioned, time and attendance, and partly an aspect of the talent acquisition. So this is something that is mostly handled by ATS, but HRIS can also handle this part.
So number two, once you've established your foundation with an HRIS, is to look into an HR management system. So whilst an HRIS is your database that sorts out your day-to-day needs of your employees, a management system is more used for performance management processes, for onboarding, for development, and also employee experience. So this will help you once your employees are signed up and everything, the basics are fulfilled. So they're making sure they're being paid, they're clocking in and out, you have all their information. You can then start to help them grow within the company. So that would be developing a really great onboarding plan. So that would be all aspects of performance management, from regular check-ins to performance reviews and 360 peer feedback, employee recognition to make them know that they're being recognized for their hard work. You also want to track your efforts with engagement surveys to check that your employees are happy and engaged with your company. And then also really important, as I mentioned before, is development. So you want to make sure that employees have development plans, that you're supporting their growth, that you're also internally mapping out career paths and succession planning. And we've named here PeopleGoal. We feel that we handle all of these aspects very well. And it's really good to find a platform that can integrate onboarding, performance, development, and engagement, because the whole point with the HR tech stack is we want a highly integrated tools. And of course, you could have 4 different platforms for those different elements, which all have their own merits, but we're trying to make it as streamlined as possible for everyone involved. So that is why we would put ourselves here.
Yes. So, and it's very important to understand the main difference between an HRIS and an HRMS system. So the first one is where we keep the information about the employee, the primary information, not the information that we create together. However, with an HRMS, you create the information with the employee. So you actually manage the employee and you create the employee journey with such type of systems. So they are very important, they are very sophisticated, and they most likely come with HR best practices. So they also act as knowledge libraries for HR people. And this is the most critical part within the employee journey. So, okay, you have the information about the employee. It's very easy to manage the primary information. However, how easy is to manage the experience, the employee experience throughout the employee journey? And this is how you actually want to make sure that you will select the best tool that will guarantee that the different needs within the different HR areas, such as onboarding, engagement, development, and performance, will satisfy your criteria and ultimately will give you the best experience in terms of HR as an account admin, and at the same time, a great experience for your people, for your managers, for your C-level, and of course, for your employees.
So once you have your HRIS and HRMS in place, you might want to look for a task management tool. So task management software can help manage tasks. It helps with estimation and scheduling, helps to track resources and key milestones, and also enables organizations to make decisions when they are needed. So the key features of a task management software like Asana, for example, will help with project management, task management, Kanban boards and to-do lists. This would give everyone a sense of purpose, make sure everyone knows exactly what they're doing and when, and can be especially useful when teams are geographically dispersed, whether working in different locations in the country or the globe, or there's a mix of hybrid workers, with some working in office and some working remotely.
A critical area within, let's say, the employee journey is the performance part. And within the performance, we also have objective setting. And this is how actually the objective setting is linked with the task management, because many companies have KPIs documented in a platform, let's say like Asana, and then you want to bring the information that you have in a task management system within, let's say, a human resources management system, and turn the KPIs into employee goals. So this is how these two are linked and related. And that's a very nice way to have an integration like this one, because you actually don't have to duplicate the same information from the one system in terms of goals and KPIs to the other system.
So the next software that you need to consider and is really useful for employees is identity and access management software. What that software does, it helps companies protect their systems from unauthorized access by only allowing authenticated users to access certain company systems and data. So a platform like OneLogin will enable something called single sign-on. Now, what single sign-on does is it gives employees access to all systems with one password. So they log into their OneLogin platform or their single sign-on platform, and all of the different tools on their HR tech stack will be accessible without a password. Now, this is super useful for employees because they won't have to remember 6 different passwords for different websites and be having to contact HR if they have to reset their password or something like that. So it makes it super easy to access the different systems, and again adds another layer of integration to the softwares in your HR tech stack. A few other things the identity and access management software can do is enable multi-factor authentication, which is another layer of security into employee logins, as well as identity lifecycle management, smart factor authentication, and an easy access desktop, which I discussed just before, so it's that easy access and view of all the different apps or softwares that your company are using, and they can access them all with one click.
Yes, exactly, Maddie. So it's very important to use a simple sign-on software every time you have many different platforms working together, because this way the user will not have, let's say, to enter the credentials for the different platforms, and login will be much easier.
So another really important tool to implement, and that I would say almost every single organization will have in place since the global shift to remote working, is a communication tool. So an online communication tool allows dispersed teams to collaborate, communicate and work together. And they do this by facilitating real-time networking and conversation. So a tool like Microsoft Teams, what it allows you to do is to work together no matter if you're based at home, if you're working in the office, and also if you're working in a different location to your team members. And the kind of features they allow you to do is instant messaging, file sharing, document storage, online video calling and screen sharing, as well as online meetings. Now, these tools are really great at replicating office interaction and conversations in an online environment. And I would say that, you know, everyone will have one these days, since a lot of teams have been working remotely. But what's really important to look for when you're consolidating your HR tech stack is to make sure that your other softwares will integrate with your communication tools. So employees love using these tools. They will spend the majority of their working day talking to their colleagues there, planning projects, etc. So if you can integrate your, for example, HRMS, so that would be your performance processes, your development processes, or your onboarding processes, to talk to your communication tool and to send notifications when employees have to access or complete items on their other accounts, this will create a much more streamlined and easy process for the employee. As you know, email notifications can often be forgotten about, but being able to connect your softwares in this dynamic way to have, let's take the example of a check-in, say a manager has requested a check-in with an employee. If they get a notification through Microsoft Teams, for example, that will make them engage with that process a lot more. They will be able to quickly respond to it, and it just gets your employees using the other tools that you want them to as well.
Yes, Maddie, and using communication tools in line with HRMS, you can actually, let's say, skip some steps, and you can trigger some actions directly from your communication tool that will be complete through the HRMS. And that is great because it's like you can, it's like you have a full integration, and you don't even have to use the HRMS interface in order to complete such actions.
So let's sum up with some key takeaways, just rounding up everything that we've discussed today. So as we discussed at the beginning, a strong HR tech stack will improve HR efficiency and employee experience. As we mentioned, having an integrated, automated tech stack will improve everybody's working experience, from employees to managers to HR to senior management. Make sure you look for a tech stack, or when you are combining your tech stack, to look for tools that align with your company culture. A mistake we often see made is that organizations will bring in a new tool that is actually quite at odds with what the company is trying to achieve overall, therefore having quite low participation rates and employees not engaging with it. So make sure that you can align your software and your tools with your core values, culture, and unique company identity. Another thing to keep in mind is that you need to adopt a continuous frame of mind, and these tools need to suit your business needs as you grow. It's all very well getting the ideal stack for your company of 50 employees, but if you're about to go through a period of growth, you need to have tools that are flexible and that will scale with you as you grow. So look at these platforms in a continuous way will really help you to achieve that. And finally, we've touched on it a few times throughout this conversation, is that integrating your HR tech stack and all the different tools so that they work together as a set is the key to success. And I hope that is the one key takeaway that you will remember from this conversation.
Yes, and as we mentioned earlier, HR teams should not be intimidated, let's say, by the different tools and solutions out there. And this is how you can better streamline your processes, select the best providers, and we have single sign-on and task management integrations and many types of integrations to help you streamline these processes, bring them together, and provide a coherent experience for everyone involved in your people processes.
Exactly. So that's all from us today in terms of content. If you would like to get some more PeopleGoal insights, feel free to download the research slides. Check out our previous webcasts at peoplegoal.com/resources/webcasts and connect with us on LinkedIn and Twitter at PeopleGoal. And finally, some further resources on this topic, and feel free to check out our blog where we cover topics like the benefits of tech for your HR department, how to unite your people and processes with HR technology, and how to make the switch from paper-based to web-based HR. Finally, if you want to suggest a topic or be a guest in one of our upcoming webcasts, send me an email, maddie.o'neill@peoplegoal.com. Thank you very much for speaking with me today, Chrissa. I really enjoyed discussing HR tech with you.
Thank you, Maddie.